Hello, guest. It is the third day of the 7 tales I am to tell. This one is based upon one man's negligence, leading many others to their deaths. So we begin this tale in the sloth of a man doing his daily work of napping near the construction site he was employed, having his manager find him and telling him to get off the floor and back to work, with the sloth getting up to do so. Eventually, he had fallen back to his deep slumber, with his manager yet again to awaken him, and said he is to be fired right away. But the sloth, quickly going to speak to the manager, to not fire him as he needs the job for his daughter. Having some thoughts, the manager gave the sloth one more chance. If he fails, he will be fired on the spot. Having him thank his manager, and after finishing the day, he met with his daughter at home, who was drawing, and happily she shows a drawing of him and her with a rainbow over them, and writing of "I love my daddy" in crayon. With that, the sloth smiled, hugging her and saying how he is proud of her, and how much of a little sunshine she is to him. And with time going by, he tucked his little girl to bed and went to rest, and hoping the day will be better tomorrow. And for when the next day came, he took his daughter to school, giving her a hug and a pat on the head to have a wonderful day in school, with her saying she will. And with that, the sloth had a soft sigh and went to work. He walked to the site until suddenly an old elderly drunk came up to warn the sloth that doom and gloom is coming his way, and ignoring the old drunk, went on with his work. And with a bit of time passing, the manager asked the sloth to handle the crane, which he did, and things were doing so well until he saw a corner of his eye, the old man with a smiling grin. And then the sloth began to fall asleep, causing the sloth to mess up the controls, and had a metal beam with the crane was carrying to bump and crash into other beams that were standing, with a massive reaction, causing the building's structure to fall upon many people who were working on it or underneath it, killing them, including the manager. Having the sloth awaken and seeing the chaos, he quickly got out of the site to go and get his daughter, shaking all the way to the school. And for when he picked her up, she happily hugged her dad, and he said, controlling himself from the situation, that he had to go on a long trip, and that she would have to stay with Grandma for a while, having her be excited as, even through this horrible situation, he smiled only slightly as he went home with her and helped pack her things, taking her to his mother's home, and told her that he loves his little girl so very much. And she replied with the same response, having him give her one more hug, and had taken her to the front door, ringing the bell and going to the car. And seeing his little angel wave goodbye made him tear up as he drove away, and he turned on the radio, hearing of the situation being investigated, as he continued to drive out of town and eventually made it to the cabin he and his wife stayed in for their honeymoon long before, having him sit on a chair, hating on himself for dozing off, remembering his life for days, then 2 weeks, eventually for months, laying on the bed, weak and frail, till hearing a knock on the door, having the Sloth in his sluggish state walked to the door to a smiling masked man who greeted kindly to the Sloth, and hoping to have a stay, if only for a moment. Having the Sloth agree, letting the masked man in, as the masked man thanked him. As they both sat down, with the masked man asking of what was troubling the Sloth, having the Sloth tell of the situation, how he did not rather wish to face the punishment of these men's death he caused, and didn't want any more harm to possibly come to his family, with the masked man saying, like his wife, with the Sloth looking to the masked man, wondering what he was implying. As the masked man brought up of how he did not simply want to be caught by this accident, but also the death of his wife, which was caused by the Sloth's own hands. For when he laid there and remembering as she was also laying sick and bedridden for so long in a hospital, he could not continue to care for her. So in one night, with barely many staff around, he grabbed a pillow from underneath her head, and seeing a simple glance of her eye, suffocated her, and for when the deed was done, he kept quiet, leaving the hospital, not telling his daughter what truly happened, and saying the same excuse, just like this accident, that she went on a trip, having the Sloth remember tearing away to the incident and begging for forgiveness, just believing all he did was good for his family. As the master man spoke of how the Sloth can still do good for his family, he just needs to let go of the leftover time he has. The masked man vowed that the Sloth's daughter will always live a life of joy and happiness. And with hearing this, the Sloth accepted, letting the cold, silent embrace of endless slumber take him. Now, this story truly, for me anyways, had a man who did everything for his beloved and sweet little girl, but didn't have the full determination to do better for them both. So I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful day, and continue to have a smile on your face.